Would board members come to the table, please, so we can get started with our budget hearing? Good evening and welcome to tonight's public hearing on the fiscal year 2019 advertised budget. On behalf of school board members, I would like to thank you for taking the time this evening to come and talk with us about the advertised budget. At this time, if you've not already done so, please provide your written comments to one of our clerks seated in the box to my right, and please turn off or silence your cell phones. Speaker registration for this evening's meeting opened at 6 a.m. on January 12th and closed at 4:30 p.m. on January 26th. Tonight we have 23 registered speakers. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes, and to be respectful of everyone, we ask that you stay within that time limit. The timer will start when you begin to speak, and you will be able to see the time remaining on the clock at the lectern. The buzzer will sound at the conclusion of your 3 minutes. 3 names and their speaker numbers will be announced at a time. When you hear your name, please move closer to the front of the auditorium so you will be ready when it's your turn to speak. If speakers are not here when their name's called, these names will be called again at a later time. If you have not registered to speak tonight but would like an opportunity to address the board, please see one of the clerks to sign up for one of the 5 extra reserved speaker slots. Your name will be called after the registered speakers. Also, there will be an opportunity for individuals to speak if there are no-show speaker slots remaining at the end of the hearing. After all of the registered speakers have addressed the board, I will announce whether there will be any no-show slots available. For this, we ask that you state your full name at the time that you speak. After you've spoken, please see one of the clerks so that they may collect your information for the record. Throughout the evening, you may notice that board members leave the table, but please know that they do have access to the TV that's broadcasting the public hearing in the back room. Thank you for attending tonight's public hearing. I did want to mention that Ms. Derenak-Kofax and Mr. McElveen will not be able to join us tonight. The FY19 advertised budget will be discussed at a work session scheduled for Thursday, February 1st, beginning at 7 p.m. here at Luther Jackson Middle School. I hope you will plan to attend, and thank you for all of you for your comments tonight. The first 3 speakers are Toby Latham, Precious Crabtree, and Kevin Hickerson. So if Toby Latham could come up, welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school board, Dr. Brabrand, and FCPS staff. My wife Lindsay and I thank you for this opportunity to share our thoughts as parents of a preschooler in FCPS's special education programs. Tonight I offer 2 brief comments about the proposed budget and 1 general comment about special education spending. First, Dr. Brabrand's proposed pay adjustments are no-brainers. Simply put, our teachers and staff members have waited too long for paychecks that reflect our appreciation for all their hard work. So I hope to see the same pay and compensation figures in your approved budget. Regarding special education spending, it's clear that the proposed budget includes increased funding, largely driven by the proposed pay adjustments and by growth in level 2 services. Less clear, however, is whether the budget takes into account the efforts of DSS to improve FCPS's performance in indicators 5 and 6. I know that Teresa Johnson and her team members are working diligently to implement procedural changes that will improve our placement of students with disabilities in the least restrictive environment. And I can't imagine that those changes would not have some impact on special education spending, even if it's just a tiny one. So I encourage the board to ask whether and how this budget accounts for the potential impacts of those upcoming changes. As for special education spending in general, I feel compelled to respond to a citizen who testified at a school board meeting in the fall that it's been many years since FCPS has reviewed its special education programs and efficiencies. And I didn't bite at the opportunity to hijack another school board meeting to make that comment. I waited patiently until now. But by his comment, that citizen demonstrated an all too common lack of understanding of how these programs, especially those covered by the IDEA, are developed and managed. Each student covered by that particular statute has an educational program that's individualized and often reviewed annually. These individualized programs, designed by teams of administrators, teachers, specialists, and parents, when thrown together and viewed as a whole, might not appear efficient, but they are, in most cases, effective. At some point, effectiveness is lost where efficiency is gained, and in my written comments submitted this morning, I provided 2 examples of how that might occur. Look, I know that you know that we have a long, hard road to travel before all taxpayers understand and appreciate the benefits and the savings derived from the additional upfront costs associated with teaching children with disabilities. And we're not going to solve that tonight, we're not going to solve that this year, but I hope that each of you understand that parents like myself have your back and that we'll gladly assist each of you in having these conversations with your constituents. You just have to send us the invite. With that, on behalf of my family, I thank you for all your service and for all the hard work that you guys are going to put in during this budget cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Precious Crabtree.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Brabrand. My name is Precious Crabtree, and I'm very proud to be in my 22nd year of teaching, and I have served in FCPS for 17 of those 22 years. First, I'd like to say bravo. Thank you for bringing Dr. Brabrand back to our FCPS. It is obvious that his energy, passion, and commitment to FCPS is genuine. I believe that Dr. Brabrand has already re-energized us in many ways. Personally, I feel a renewed commitment to our county after seriously considering if I should leave in recent years. This budget clearly reflects that Dr. Brabrand is still an educator and even an association member at heart. I'm excited by this proposed budget because it focuses on compensation. It is long overdue and will help us recruit and retain the most qualified, dedicated employees. Yet we need to do better by our FCPS family when it comes to creating a caring culture. Please understand that many employees do not feel that they truly matter as a person or a professional to you or FCPS leadership. New and seasoned educators alike are still drowning in the workload. For instance, this year I'm on summative evaluation. Prior to my mid-year review, I spent 6 hours organizing and uploading documents to my PLT that demonstrate my abilities as a highly skilled teacher by using the evaluation standards matrix. Many employees spend a great deal of time when preparing their documents with the goal of demonstrating that they too are highly effective. However, the belief in common practice in FCPS that highly effective is rarely received at mid-year is extremely disheartening. If an educator can demonstrate at mid-year that they are highly effective, why would we deflate them and load more work on them? Why hold people back when they are thriving? Evaluation is important to me, as it is to all your employees. Evaluation should help educators grow, not consume critical time needed to prepare for students. And it should be reflective of the hard work that we do every day. On a plane, passengers are directed to secure their own oxygen masks before helping others. Your employees take on so much that we neglect to put the oxygen mask on when we need it. So little is given back to us to make us feel cared for and supported as professionals. The proposed budget is a first step, but there is much work that needs to be done beyond fixing our salaries. Decreasing the workload, grandfathering step increases to veteran teachers on the BA lanes, giving all employees a voice in decisions, and allowing more professional autonomy are just a few changes you can make to improve employee morale. I know the road ahead is not an easy one. But our FCPS family needs you to be fiercer advocates than you have ever been before to make this budget a reality and truly create a caring culture for all employees. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Kevin Hickerson.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Brabrand, and FCPS School Board. I'm Kevin Hickerson, President of the Fairfax Education Association, and I'm speaking on behalf of my membership tonight on the proposed budget for the 2019 school year. I want to thank you, Dr. Brabrand, for putting forth a budget that addresses the need to be competitive with our neighbors in salary and benefits. The investment that we can potentially make in our employees shows that what we value here in Fairfax County. We need to continue our investment in our people to make sure our children's public education is the best it can be. That being said, the FEA still takes issue with the freezing of pay on the teachers in the BA scale. We recognize that there have been arrangements made to move people to the master's lane. The problem is that employees make career decisions that are best for their situation, taking into account financial struggles and time constraints, such as the need to work a second job. Creating new expectations with financial implications is unfair to the teachers who are not prepared or able to meet that requirement. To ask them now to pay for a master's when they are putting money away for their own kids' college, saving for retirement, or just trying to survive while under the threat of not receiving a pay increase after 3 years is wrong. This does not even take into account the people who are below Step 19, which is more than the 400 people who are affected right now. Those under Step 19 will now have to look at their finances and make tough decisions on whether to take out loans on their master's or their kids' college education. Why are we putting them in an untenable position when we have an ongoing teacher shortage? Don't forget that past school boards made decisions a few years ago to freeze steps on 3 separate occasions. In freezing these steps, employees are out of pocket thousands of dollars for the rest of their career. A permanent freeze on the bachelor scale hurts in the present and in our employees' retirement years. It's an added insult to the hardworking employees on this scale who have faithfully served FCPS. In regards to employee morale and workload issues, on May 25, 2017, the school board passed a follow-on motion after the budget that read in part, I move to instruct the superintendent to work with our employee organizations to develop a plan for addressing employees feeling overwhelmed by workload raised in recent employee surveys and by speakers before the school board. The plan should be presented to the school board for discussion and action in fall of 2017 for deliberating on the fiscal year 2019 budget. The FEA has yet to see a plan on this motion and would like to be proactive. So we created our own proposal to improve public education in Fairfax County. Each of you should have received a copy. In it, we outlined specific ideas that would go a long way to increasing morale in FCPS. Some of the items that we believe are necessary are currently being worked on, such as reinstating tuition reimbursement and improving hiring practice. Superintendent Brabrand and his staff should be commended for these efforts. Other priorities that have not been addressed include lowering class sizes, CLTs that are driven by instructors and not administration, and making sure that we have enough high-quality substitutes for our employees. We at the FEA are ready to roll up our sleeves and find solutions to the questions that have been left unanswered in the budget. We will be setting up appointments with each of you over the next couple of months to advocate for a fair budget for all employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next 3 speakers are Carla Okuchi, to be followed by Teresia Anderson, to be followed by Elaine Saunders. Ms. Okuchi, oh, you're here. Thank you.
Aloha, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Brabrand. My name is Carla Okuchi, Vice President of the Fairfax Education Association and music educator at Mosby Woods Elementary School. As a proud Fairfax County Public School graduate, employee, and parent, there is nothing more important than making sure all children have equitable access to programs and safe learning environments. Thank you, Ryan McElveen, who's not here, for your powerful remarks last week on facility funding. We need to research building designs that foster innovation and creativity. This lack of space leads to another issue FCPS must simply address: the inequitable distribution of staffing and the workload issues that impact the health and wellness of dedicated, hardworking employees. I have committed a lifetime in developing my voice as a musician and music education professional. For over 2 decades, we've raised our concerns over master schedules in our elementary schools. I have heard of colleagues being subjected to 10 classes a day, and last year, I got to live it. I started out excited to meet the 1,022 students that would be split between 2 full-time music teachers. A lack of facility space prevented my administration from adding the additional staffing that I advocated for before making this move. I neglected to keep myself hydrated, teaching 3 hours straight without enough time for a restroom break. We model everything from movement to singing a melody 3 times before asking children to sing. Multiply that by 10 classes. We share constructive feedback, and we collect 5 grades for each child. By December, I began noticing the regular fatigue and stresses of the winter concert season. However, it was returning from spring break when my voice continued to deteriorate and raised my concern. I scheduled a visit with an ENT, and my fear became a reality: vocal nodules. I was relieved this was caught early enough to avoid surgery, but I was devastated at the length of time it would take to heal. 3 months? Trying to remain optimistic, I thought, maybe my voice will return in 3 weeks. I've worked so hard in preparing our students to play their 3rd grade recorders, and this would be the first time I missed conducting our chorus group in their final concert of the year. Ironically, we were singing When I Am Silent, and here I was at home, silent, unable to use my most precious instrument to do what I love: teach children. I went through a series of emotions, from crying at home as I listened to lyric sopranos, wondering what I'd do if I could no longer sing or even teach. I became angry because I was physically worked to the point of causing harm to myself. If FCPS is a caring culture, how could we put the longevity of our careers at risk? Then I became determined to continue this fight for equity once my voice returned. We have hundreds of teachers who go undiagnosed with vocal fatigue and vocal misuse due to the demands of master schedules. FCPS must address elementary master schedules and equitable distribution of staffing to protect the health and wellness of employees so they can properly serve our children.
Thank you. Teresa Anderson? Teresa, yeah.
Thank you. Yep, Teresa Anderson. Good evening. I'm here today to share with you the need for ESPs, education support personnel, professionals, to be lockstep with the classroom teacher salary scale conversation and other suggestions for improvement for FCS education. In order for many teachers to be successful in their jobs, the bus drivers have to get the kids to school. The cafeteria staff prepares lunch and breakfast. Office staff greets the families and takes care of messages. The custodial staff makes sure the buildings are safe. If we want to make sure that we continue to be a caring work environment, please remember it takes all staff to make us a premier school system. In order to improve the school and provide high-quality education for all, we need to pay all support employees more than their market value for the positions to maintain and retain the high standard of quality professionals. If we don't want to be borderline, if we don't want to be mediocre, please consider these considerations. Reinstate tuition reimbursement. Many employees take classes and go to school to sharpen their skills and to fulfill desires to become more. I currently am a student at Western Governors University, and if my employer were to help support me and take a portion of my tuition, I would be excited and more vested to stay. In 1999, I began my career here at Fairfax County Public Schools, and it's been truly satisfying and fulfilling as an instructional assistant. My starting salary was $14,000, and now currently it's just at $22,000, which still falls below the MIT deemed living wage for a single person living in Fairfax County. If you've served children here for 25 years as an IA, your ending salary would be about $44,000 in 2017. However, last year in your budget cycle, $4,000 was taken away. So the top that you can earn now as an instructional assistant is $40,000. Please do not repeat that in this budget cycle. We consider asking you to also reinstate the differential subpay, a sick leave bank, and sound retirement systems for all, equity throughout the county, and a balanced, fair hiring schedules and practices. If we don't, Fairfax County will continue to lose strong, bright, intelligent support staff that powers this engine we call Fairfax County Public Schools. To retain great teachers, you must retain support staff that's also awesome, right alongside them. Working to cultivate a caring culture means supporting all support staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine Saunders.
Good evening. My name is Elaine Saunders, and I'm a longtime resident of Fairfax County, a parent of 2 FCPS graduates and a teacher in this county for 22 years, currently teaching 3rd grade at Bull Run Elementary. I believe staff at FCPS are dedicated to what is best for students. Today, I would like to discuss the impact of class size. Over my career, I have heard our class sizes needed to be increased, sometimes only by half of a student, but even that can have a negative impact. Students are not just numbers, but individuals with different and sometimes special needs. In the elementary classroom, we use small group instruction to teach. It is best to keep these groups to 5 to 6 students. With my current class, that would be 4 groups. During the time you're meeting with these small groups, you need to have meaningful instruction for the other students. So while you're working with each group for 10 to 15 minutes, you also need to supervise the remaining students. With bigger class sizes, this means more groups and more students to monitor who are not in your group. Every task takes more time away from instruction as class size increases. For example, collecting general paperwork and having to resend home sometimes several times when students do not return the required form prevents instruction. These are basic clerical tasks, but they can interfere with our instruction. The time needed to assess and give feedback on tasks varies. Simple tasks may take only 2 minutes per student to grade and record the information. This is being conservative. For one assignment with my current class, that would be 44 minutes. However, some tasks take longer to assess, such as story writing assignments in 3rd grade, which could take about 15 minutes to assess and give feedback per student. So, for 22 students, one writing assignment could take 5.5 hours. Just one writing sample. As classroom teachers, we are constantly reviewing and assessing work, and honestly, most of this is done after contract hours. But it takes a toll on teachers, which again affect the students. You can calculate the time cost as you increase the class size. These are only some examples. I have not even discussed the time needed for lesson preparations, copying and preparing materials, emails, testing preparations, developing relationships with students and parents, and report cards, all of which takes time. Trying to best meet the diverse needs of all students is difficult, and of course becomes even more difficult the larger the class size. Is this really best for the students? I know the goal is to keep class sizes small, but when it comes time to making final decisions, it's often said, "Oh, it's just one more student." I have only addressed the concerns of a classroom teacher. I understand no decision comes lightly during budget time, but it is important to remember all the time used up for other things ultimately impacts good instruction. Isn't good instruction what is best for our students? Class size has a major impact on everyone.
Thank you. Our next 3 speakers are Kimberly Adams, to be followed by Mimi Dash, to be followed by Tammy Bouchette.
Good evening, Dr. Braybrand, Chairman Strauss, and esteemed school board members. My name is Kimberly Adams, and I am the immediate past president of the Fairfax Education Association and the immediate past president of the Fairfax County Council of PTAs. I'm a proud teacher librarian in our elementary schools, currently serving at Mantua Elementary School. Many of you may not know that my husband is also a teacher in the county, and we have 2 boys. One, a 4th grader with a hearing impairment, and one who will begin kindergarten next year. Dr. Braybrand, I am so thankful that you have taken a hardline stance on our employee salaries. I've heard you speak with the community and our employees, and I believe what you say. Your words impress me, and I can tell that you are aware that all of our employees need a salary increase, including eligible steps as well as COLAs. All employees deserve access to reimbursement by tuition. And bachelor's lane change and its potential negative impact on my family is what I'm here to speak about tonight. In 2015-16, I earned my master's degree over 15 months taking online classes in the evening after all my daytime responsibilities were completed. We paid more than $18,000 for me to pursue this degree, and FCPS compensates me about $3,000 a year more than my husband for holding this degree. And after about 8 years from now, I will probably have paid off the student loans that we took out. Sadly, we can't afford the time and the money that it will take for my husband to attain this degree as well. With 2 boys at home and teaching responsibilities, along with the cost of living here in Fairfax, he cannot move up the scale without putting our family at risk. We made a choice as to which one of us would attain this degree. 2 years from now, he will not be able to increase his pay significantly unless we take a huge gamble as a family. After dedicating 18 years to FCPS, he will soon be left behind, along with about 400 or more other teachers, I don't understand why this system would target them. And I'm asking you to keep the promise you made when we began teaching here. Changing the scales for new employees if you must, but leaving in place what you promised to your current employees. We really would not be able to forgive you for pulling out the rug from under a few employees to balance the scales and make a dangerous fix to your pay scales. You are all also aware of the teaching profession facing a massive shortage in Virginia and elsewhere in our nation. And we are working as a Commonwealth to institute changes to universities to allow them to hold a 4-year bachelor's degree in education. This is currently done in many states, especially where we came from in Connecticut. The decision to change our scales mid-career is short-sighted and may also bring harm to attracting and retaining new employees for our system. I know that the parent community very much wants to keep their great teachers, and 400 may not seem like many indeed, but it impacts more than 5,000 students in our system who may lose their teacher. I'm worried about the future of our teaching force, with a kindergartner next year who will have 13 years ahead of him in our system. I ask you to look carefully at this. Dr. Bragrand, I thank you very much for your work on our employees' behalf, and school board, I ask you to look carefully at this scale.
Mimi Dash.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Superintendent Brabrand, members of the school board. My name is Mimi Dash, and I come here tonight representing the Fairfax Education Association Retired and the Standing All Together for Fairfax Employees Coalition. I was a dedicated teacher for 30 years. I continue to be an advocate for retirees, current employees, and most importantly, the students. FCPS has a school system that attracts companies to Fairfax. It is important to recognize that it is the employees who make the school system great. Having served as FEA president, a statewide elected NEA board member, a governor-appointed member of the Advisory Board on Teacher Education and Licensure, and elected chair by my peers, I am able to speak from a variety of experience levels. I want you to know that there is one job that I consider to be my most valuable contribution, and that is classroom teacher. It is also the most difficult of all the above-mentioned jobs. While I was considered experienced enough to be treated with respect in all my elected and appointed positions, I must tell you I was not treated the same as a classroom teacher. I was rarely, if ever, consulted when major issues were being considered to improve student performance. What a novel idea, to ask the people who actually work with the students what they would recommend. Empower the teachers to design programs that work for them and their students. Recognize that experience is a resource that equals and exceeds coursework and advanced degrees. Imagine what acknowledging that would do to build morale and improve respect. Employees generally feel undervalued and disrespected. Respect and dignity provide workers with the incentive to go even farther, to be the best they can be, and thus giving even more to our children. While we support the superintendent's budget, thank you, we are disappointed that the substitute pay is still an issue. Retirees felt highly disrespected when the pay was reduced, and the active educators continue to see their students shortchanged by the lesser qualified substitutes being hired, and still the shortage continues. We have offered to work as part of finding a solution. Additionally, our members strongly object to the changes made to retirement security for new hires. We will continue to seek equity for these employees while protecting retirement security for all employees. One of my favorite superintendents used to say, "Keep the main thing the main thing." Isn't the main thing providing the best future for our county by providing the best education for our students? We are at our best when we can provide, and we can provide the best when we are valued, respected, and feel secure with our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy, is it Bouchate? Okay, thank you. Wow.
Good evening. Madam Chair Strauss, members of the school board, and Dr. Brabrand. My name is Tammy Boshati, and I'm the chair of the Food and Nutrition Services Advisory Council, known as FNSAC. The FNSEC represents all food and nutrition services employees by addressing issues to the superintendent and the leadership team. All food service employees, from the 3-hour employee up to the 8-hour employee, play an important role in serving the needs of students, teachers, staff, administration, and outside school-based locations. The Food Service Division currently has 1,228 employees that are essential to the day-to-day feeding programs across the county, from breakfast in the classroom, fresh fruit and vegetable programs, to salad bars at the elementary level, FCPS early education, preschool, SAC, free summer barbecue sites to all children in Fairfax County, the after-school meal known as Super Snack for elementary, middle, and high school, senior citizen sites, and of course, the traditional lunch programs from elementary to high school. Food service employees are a remarkably flexible and can-do group, regularly adjusting to academic schedule changes, to transportation changes, and to inclement weather changes in order to provide our service to our customers, the students, staff, and Fairfax County residents. There are times when just serving lunch is the easy part. Food service employees on a daily basis go above and beyond to ensure the safety and well-being of students by taking in consideration such things as increased nutritional standards, medical needs, and food allergies. The FCPS benefit package is an incentive and an investment to attract and retain skilled and educated workers until retirement with exceptional medical benefits, market-scale pay, and professional growth opportunities, which in turn impacts the well-being and education of students. In lieu of budget shortfalls for current and up-and-coming fiscal years, please still consider STEP and market-scale cost of living adjustments for all support employees moving forward with proposed budgets when closing the fiscal budget gap. We appreciate the newly adjusted pay scales for food service employees that we accomplished through feedback from the compensation study and working in collaboration with the leadership team. The goal of each FCPS employee should be to make the day of a student go well and let him or her achieve to their best skill level, as it should be your goal to ensure the retention of skilled and educated workers. In summary, we would like competitive scales, step increases, and cost of living increases to be a continued priority for all support employees, as well as treating all employee issues with respect and equity. Thank you for listening to our concerns.
The next three speakers are Catherine Falk, to be followed by Arthur Purvis, and then Nancy Trainer. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Falk. I'm grateful to be here tonight and grateful to be a product of Fairfax County Public Schools, having graduated from Churchill Road Elementary School, Cooper Intermediate, and Langley High School. And let me say I'm thrilled that you selected Dr. Braybrand to come back and lead the schools. I'm also grateful to be a new board member for the Foundation for Fairfax County Public Schools. And I look forward to working with this group to support the strategic initiatives of the Fairfax County Schools. But in my day job, I serve as the market leader for Cox Communications here in Northern Virginia, a company I'm thrilled to say that's committed to our communities, giving back millions of dollars, and also a proud partner with Fairfax County Public Schools on Connect to Compete, where eligible families with children on government assistance programs can get low-cost internet, because we know that all children need access to technology. At Cox, we have many employees who are graduates of Fairfax schools and many who send their children to Fairfax County schools. And like Superintendent Braybrand said, we want the best and brightest coming to Fairfax County. It's important to Cox as a business to have strong, thriving schools for our employees and for their families, and to train our future employees as well. Therefore, I want to add my voice to the support for the budget proposal. I also applaud the schools for reducing costs by $29 million in this proposal, but also boosting employees' salaries to attract the best and brightest. Investments in our schools are a top priority to continue to make this the best place to live and work. Thank you.
Thank you. Arthur Purvis.
Dr. Braybrand, Chairman Strauss, and members of the board. I'm Arthur Purvis. I speak to you as president of the Fairfax County Taxpayers Alliance. Up until a few years ago, the school board budget presentation cited student achievement as a justification for higher taxes, but no more. Perhaps that's because the 2017 ACT results for Fairfax County Public Schools shows that only 54% of your students tested are prepared to succeed in college STEM courses. In the global society which you embrace, do you understand that these students will compete with foreign students who are studying the same subjects and will accept a job at a fraction of the going rate in return for an H-1B visa? Also, the ACT reports that only 37% of Hispanic and only 16% of African American students are prepared to succeed in college STEM courses. I wonder if you've even seen these statistics. I wonder if the administration even is planning on showing them to you. This continues the school board's 30-year record of failure in closing the minority student achievement gap. And for 25 years, I've been urging the adoption of reading mastery and DISTAR arithmetic and E.D. Hirsch's core knowledge sequence, and I'll now add to that piloting a Montessori school to close the minority student achievement gap. My school board member says the research does not support these programs, which is false. But we do have 30 years of evidence that your programs don't work. And nothing's more eloquent than this FEA statement on improving education in Fairfax County Public Schools, which mentions nothing about STEM achievement and nothing about the minority student achievement gap. While it's not stated explicitly, your budget appears to propose 4% raises for all employees regardless of performance. In the private sector, only, from what I've seen, only top performing employees get 4% raises. Your justification, curiously, is not to prevent employees from going to the private sector, but to prevent them from going to other school districts. And I wonder if there's some collusion going on where each school district points to the neighboring district as justification to raise wages. And so we get this never-ending cycle of tax increases. And added to that is it used to be that health and pensions cost 28% of payroll, and now it costs 48% of payroll. Yeah, and the result of that is real estate taxes have been increasing 3 times faster than household income. If real estate taxes had tracked household income, you'd be raising $1 billion less in taxes, which means you've diverted from the private sector money for $20,000, $50,000 jobs. The recent federal tax cuts show how tax cuts can invigorate an economy and should show you how your tax hikes are draining our economy. And you should consider, as you try to balance compensation with the economy, that Democrat-controlled jurisdictions are not able to pay their pensions. Thank you.
Nancy Trainer.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Trainer, and I am the co-chair of the Education Committee of the Fairfax County Federation of Citizens Associations. Tonight, I'm speaking on behalf of the Federation's board. We would like to commend the proposed budget's focus on improving FCPS's market position with regard to teacher and staff compensation. We agree that it is vital to pay our staff like the professionals they are to help FCPS attract and retain the finest educational personnel. To this end, we'd like to reiterate a suggestion we've made in years past, that FCPS explore options to make its compensation packages more flexible. We believe FCPS's benefit package represents an important inducement for current and future employees. At the same time, younger employees may have different needs than employees close to retirement. FCPS has the opportunity to make compensation packages overall more attractive to various employees without any additional spending by simply allowing flexibility within your system. We would also like to suggest that as FCPS continues to address its teachers' compensation, it should not focus solely on that metric as the key to teacher hiring and retention. FCPS has raised both class size floors and average class sizes and continues to seek the right level of standardized testing to ensure accountability while maintaining a creative, individualized approach to education. We suggest that FCPS perform a thoughtful review of administrative requirements on teachers and staff with an eye toward ensuring a work environment that is viewed by employees as part of FCPS's benefits package overall. We continue to appreciate the help that Dr. Brabrand and this board have lent toward the Federation's 2018 legislative package, and recognize your commitment to fiscal responsibility as together we seek to diversify the sources of investment in our county and in our schools. Because we know that our government must operate as responsible stewards of both the public trust and public dollars,
We call on you to continue and intensify collaborative work between FCPS and the county in all areas feasible. We commend the progress you've made to date in jointly planning budgets and presenting a unified fiscal forecast presentation. Yet more can and should be done collaboratively between our schools and our county. For example, we believe that there's still work to be done to ensure that our capital assets are built, maintained, and utilized with an eye toward what is best for Fairfax County as a whole, rather than simply what is best from either the county's view or from the school's view. The One Fairfax model will succeed best if our schools and our county government work together wherever possible, whether the topic is budget processes, infrastructure, or technology. Thank you so much for your time this evening and for your collective service to the children in our community and for all the time you spend on various school matters. We look forward to working together to help support our schools.
Thank you. The next three speakers are Len Forkas, to be followed by Misha Chernov, to be followed by Sarah Mattingly.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school board, Dr. Braybrand, and the school team. My name is Len Forkas. I've lived in the community for 23 years in Vienna, Virginia. I started my company here. It's based in Reston, Virginia. And I'm also the parent of two children who have gone through Cooper, Langley, and Colvin Run, and Forestville schools. And I'm also grateful to be a member of the Fairfax County Public School Foundation, and proud to be here. I'm here tonight to support your budget and to give kudos to Dr. Braybrand's program. The economy is growing, and wages are growing, and in all sectors of business. And as a small business owner, I know that I can't get the best and the brightest to come work on my team if I don't pay them competitively. But it's not just pay. You have to create an environment where people feel challenged and people feel that their work is rewarded and honored. And that is the culture that you have in the Fairfax County schools. You have all those things going for you, but what you need is the missing piece. And the missing piece is to pay them competitively. I know that through budget cuts and through attrition, many more of your team members in the schools are going to have to do more with less. And there's no better time to reward them by making sure that they're paid competitively in the region. Last fall, we earned 73% approval of the bonds that were posted. And if that's not a commitment, if that doesn't show that the community has got your back and the community wants you to do the right thing, to continue to have an education system that's second to none. And as an employer and in the business community, this is the economic driver for our region. The quality of our schools, the quality of the people that work in our schools, and the great success stories of our children that graduate from the school program, that's why companies want to be here. That's why young people want to come to this region, because of the quality of the education, the quality of the community here. So I want to thank you for all the work that you do. I want to thank you for developing a budget that honors your teachers and your team members, and I think it's a wonderful, wonderful program and wonderful thing that you're doing to continue to raise the bar and make sure we get the best and the brightest. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Misha Chernov.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Dr. Braybrand. My name is Misha Chernov, and I'm a Fairfax County teacher and resident. I am here tonight to speak about the budget's revised teacher pay scale, which does not support a caring culture in FCPS. The new teacher pay scale has a glaring empty box in the BA lanes, which reads grandfathered bachelor lane salaries. These salaries have not been grandfathered. They've been eliminated. Educators at the top of the BA lanes have done nothing wrong to warrant eliminating their anticipated future salary increases. The only wrong move these teachers made was remaining committed to FCPS for over 20 years, only to find themselves on the wrong step at the wrong time. Educators at the top of the BA lanes now have limited options so that they can continue to receive their due compensation. One option is to transfer to a neighboring county. Unfortunately, this escape route won't work because as you are aware, Step 15 is the entry-level step when transferring. This would mean these teachers would lose credit for 5 or more years of teaching and take a big pay hit if they left FCPS this late in their career. Another option is earning a master's. However, earning a master's degree is a personal and financial burden, whether online or through the GMU cohort. In 2006, I chose to earn my master's and welcomed this burden. I was excited to earn my master's because I had time to plan, save, and commit the time needed to successfully complete my degree. The teachers at the top of the BA lanes do not have that same luxury of time nor the autonomy. They are being forced to immediately jump through a burdensome hoop if they wish to continue to receive the compensation they have planned their futures around. I strongly disagree with Siegel Waters' recommendation of eliminating the longevity steps in the MA and PhD lanes because they are hard to understand. I understand those longevity steps. They are the reason FCPS has retained me for 22 years. In relation to the Siegel Waters compensation survey, no question was asked regarding implementation of the new pay scale. I doubt you would have had a positive response had the following question been asked to your employees. Do you want to receive more rapid career earnings, faster movement through the pay range so that your maximum salary would be reached in a shorter time period at the expense of the veteran teachers in the BA lanes who would no longer receive their anticipated maximum salary? The only option to remedy the injustice done to our veteran teachers in the BA lanes is to truly grandfather their salary step increases. Doing so will demonstrate that FCPS does care.
Thank you. Sarah Mattingly.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Mattingly, and I live in Lake Barcroft, which is in the Mason District. Sandy Evans is my school board representative. I have been part of the FCPS Budget Task Force for 3 years. This opportunity has afforded me the chance to learn a lot about FCPS and about its budget and programs. My husband and I do not have children, but I believe strongly that these kids that live in Fairfax will be running the world someday. Don't we owe it to them, to ourselves, our country, and candidly the world, to give them the best education that we can? Do we really want to look back and wonder what if? Before I dive into my comments about the budget, I want to take a moment and thank Sandy Evans for all of her hard work for the students of Fairfax County and especially Mason District. Sandy is a tireless advocate, and I am grateful for her. I want you to know, Sandy, you have many, many fans, both in Mason District and across Fairfax, and candidly, you rock. I support the 2019 budget and its priority to increasing the salaries for teachers and other school employees. Is this really where we want to skimp? Don't we want our students to have the best and the brightest of the teachers and staff in our area? Do you really think it's wise to compensate employees such that in some cases they have to have other jobs just to afford to live in our area? These teachers and staff will have profound effects on every aspect of a child's life going forward. I still remember things each of my teachers taught me. I remember my first grade teacher and her patience in teaching us to read. I remember being so excited to learn cursive in 3rd grade. I remember being taught critical thinking in high school, and I remember my teachers that taught me to write. For some of our students, college won't be an option. We need to make sure we give each child the best education he or she can to reach his full or her full potential in whatever he or she decides to do. My hope is that as the political makeup of the state continues to evolve, there will be a higher emphasis placed on education and funding from the state. But until this happens, we must continue to make our voices heard and let our county supervisors know that we want to fully fund our schools. We need to share with them that we know that we cannot continue to cut our way out of needed increases in spending, that our teachers and staff deserve a real living wage so that we don't lose them to neighboring counties, and so that we can recruit the best. Will you help me share this message? I've seen what can happen if we all work together. The children of our county are depending on us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Eric McCann, to be followed by Norm Hall, to be followed by Sonia Lewis.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Brabrand. Thank you for having me speak tonight on behalf of the 3 principal associations in support of Dr. Brabrand's proposed budget. My name is Eric McCann. I'm the principal of Frost Middle School, and the current president of the Middle School Principals Association. Kathleen Quigley, president of FAESP, and Maddie Line, president of HSPA, are here with me tonight as we stand together in our belief that this budget is an important step in ensuring that FCPS remain a premier school system in the state, nation, and world. It is no secret that there is a national shortage of qualified teachers throughout the country. According to the U.S. Department of Education, public schools in 48 states in the District of Columbia reported teacher shortages in math for the current school year. Similar shortages have been reported in special education, science, and world language. We are competing for a shrinking pool of qualified teacher candidates in many different grade levels and content areas. FCPS is not immune to this growing trend. Many of us have experienced losing great teachers to surrounding jurisdictions because they can earn more money in another school system. These people are often difficult to replace. They are staff members who we have spent time, money, and effort training, coaching, and building teams around. We salute Dr. Brabrand and the board for keeping market scale adjustments as a priority. It is important that we are competitive, not just so that we can hire great people, but so that we can retain the great educators we already have in our system. As Robert Marzano has said, the single most effective predictor of a child's success is his or her classroom teacher. Another key component to this budget proposal is that it addresses the need to fairly compensate the people in our system who work in support and administrative positions. They are often the unsung heroes in our school system who work behind the scenes to ensure that our buildings, classrooms, and workspaces are safe, secure, and environmentally sound. They transport, feed, care for, and assist in educating the 188,000 students in our system. They are the people who answer calls from concerned parents and community members, greet visitors when they enter our schools, and make sure that the entire building is clean and safe so that teachers can teach and students can learn. It is often said that the most important decisions we make are those in the hiring process. FCPS has almost 28,000 employees. Each one of those hiring decisions has a ripple effect that impacts thousands of students, families, and colleagues over time. We always want to hire the best, or as Dr. Brabrand says, cat number 3. It is with what our kids deserve. The job of an educator has increased in complexity, demand, and expectations exponentially over the years. The salaries we pay must reflect that change. In the end, this is about ensuring that our students receive the best education possible. An organization is only as good as its people, and we need to pay to hire and keep great people. Thanks for all you do for FCPS.
Thank you.
Thank you. Norm Hall.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Brabrand. My name is Norm Hall. I'm the father of 2 former FCPS students, one who graduated and one who exited with a GED. I am now the advocacy chair of the Fairfax County Special Education PTA, or SEPTA. My remarks focus on the ability of the budget to meet the needs of students with disabilities. In terms of proposed impact, this budget is a winner. I say this because of the numbers. At $2.9 billion, the school operating fund is up $118.7 million, or 4.3%. Numbers support results. Adequate funding means the trend of increased caseloads for professionals serving students with disabilities in too many of our schools can be stopped. I applaud the $8 million that is described as a special education adjustment. This is a significant portion of the $537.1 million stated need for special education. Of the total, this investment is 18.7%, compared to at least 14% of total enrollment of students with identified needs. At previous meetings, I have asked whether there are enough resources to support the underserved population of students with disabilities based on disaggregate levels of analysis. So, while I may still question whether even this budget is sufficient to meet the needs of all students, I have no doubt that any cuts during the subsequent budget process will bring us back to a harmful state where parents of special education students fear that available resources will not be enough to meet their children's needs. I appreciate the reality that federal and state laws promise greater shares of subsidy for special education programs and related services than what will actually be funded. This chronic underfunding is why many members of SEPTA have joined with other PTA members from across the Commonwealth as they met with the legislative delegations the past few days. We are committed to advocating for equitable shares and levels of funding. So far, I have mentioned students and parents. There's more. To serve students with disabilities, we have to have special education teachers, instructional assistants, therapists, social workers, psychologists, and yes, many non-school-based staff who are paid commensurately for the skills and experiences that they need to have to serve our students and families. Beyond Fairfax County, it is no secret that the turnover rates for these professionals are above what is sustainable for student success for every child and every need. The FCPS comprehensive and strategic plans that have been presented this year expose the fact that our students are not meeting success in critical domains at the same level as students without disabilities. These achievement gaps will not close without the best and brightest professionals working to do so. We cannot afford to shortchange the students whose needs have been identified needing extra support. We cannot afford to have talented staff leave. Thank you.
Thank you. Sonia Lewis. Is Sonia Lewis here? All right. Before I go to the next section of speakers, I just wanted to remind everyone that if you didn't sign up ahead of time, we do have 5 slots available the day of the hearing. So if you were interested in signing up now, please do see one of the clerks over to my right and put your name on the list for the end of the program. The next 3 speakers are Agnes Mallard, to be followed by Kathleen Mallard, to be followed by Hillary Duffy.
Thank you, Chairman Evans, members of the school board, Dr. Brabrand. My name is Agnes Mallard, and I'm here this evening as an individual. I'd like to speak to my support of the superintendent's advertised budget, but also to its possible effect on FCPS employee morale. I'm proud to let you know that I've worked as an FCPS support employee since 1999. I'm also an FEA member, a longtime Vienna resident, a voter and taxpayer, and the mother of 3 Madison High School graduates. As I tried to think about what I could choose to say to you this evening, of all the many things that I'd like you to consider, most of which I think you'd also like to know about, 3 things that happened on Friday have kind of helped me look at what I'd like you to know. On Friday morning, I was fortunate enough to attend the ERFC annual seminar. This is one of several seminars that I've attended as I'm trying to figure out how to grasp all that information and what to do with it as my impending retirement looms. But then when I returned to the office on Friday, I found the employee engagement survey in my inbox. I haven't opened it yet, but I will do soon, and I very much appreciate the fact that support employees are, as of last year, included in this opportunity to let you know what we feel and what we're concerned about. There's an awful lot to share with you, and I would like to believe that it will be given consideration. I think it's important that you understand that it's equally possible for employees to report a high sense of pride in working for FCPS and a great degree of engagement, but that can also be concurrent with discouragement and disheartenment and disappointment at several of the things that have been offered to us. It's the second and third jobs that many of our support employees are taking that may not be the ones that give them encouragement or pride and professional satisfaction, but they are so often needed. I work with custodians who have come back to FCPS in the evening working as hourly paid second and third job employees, and those earnings are absolutely critical to their families. So I know that your commitment to a living wage for all of our support employees is important and not at all have to be balanced against your support for teachers' salaries, but equally good for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen Mallard. Is Kathleen Mallard here? All right. Hillary Duffy. Hillary Duffy. All right. The next two speakers are Michael McDonald and Ariel Basca. Mr. McDonald. Okay. Ariel Basca. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Ariel Basca, a 13-year Latin teacher in Fairfax County. As teachers, we put in long hours each day. To do lesson planning well, quite literally takes hours. Different classes require different kinds of activities and explanations. Two sections of the same class may need alternative approaches to the same material. Many teachers arrive at school early to help students or give them time to complete retakes or have professional meetings, such as with their own team of teachers who all teach the same subject. Teachers also have to use that time to make copies for their classes, waiting in line for one of the few copiers available, hoping against hope that it doesn't break down. We are supposed to have planning time each day, which allows us to grade and plan our future lessons. However, this time is usually taken up with meetings or other demands, such as data logging, IEP paperwork, answering emails, phone calls, or other duties, to the point that most of us are honestly lucky just to get to use the restroom. At the end of the day, we don't just leave. We spend hours after school providing extra help to students, giving them time to retake assessments and sponsoring clubs and honor societies, something for which we do not get paid. We do it anyway. Because all of this time supporting our students is worth it to see their successes, and it's worth it for those lasting relationships we build with them. It's why we go to their athletic events and their concerts. It's why we make sure we arrive early and stay late. We love our students and we love what we do, but we need time to make the magic happen. Unfortunately, our time is not respected on any level, nor are we. New initiatives are handed down every few months from the county and our schools with no thought as to how they will add to our workload and no time to integrate any of them into our practice. As a result, these initiatives only add to our long hours, taking away time with our own families. No wonder there is a teacher shortage. Please address the issue of teacher time and consider the man-hours required by new and existing initiatives. Reducing those costly initiatives that infringe on teacher time could free up money for resources to support actual teacher-identified needs. This reduction would also address problems contributing to the teacher shortage, which costs FCPS money as classroom positions go unstaffed. Declining morale in the school system cannot improve if our most precious commodity is not respected. If you expect our best effort, give us the time to do what we were hired to do.
Thank you. So before we go to our added speakers, I'm going to see if we have been joined by 4 people who signed up. Sonia Lewis. Is Ms. Lewis here? Kathleen Mallard. Hillary Duffy. Or Michael McDonald. All right. We do have a few more slots available if anyone is interested in signing up. Again, please see the clerk. And with that, I will call Edward Hale to be followed by Chris McCullough.
Hi, I'm Edward Hale from Mark Twain Middle School. I've been a teacher there for 25 years, graduate of West Springfield, Washington, Irving. I don't have any prepared comments, but 3 years ago, I had accumulated 1,200 hours of unused sick leave, one of the largest numbers in the whole county. I was struck by 3 illnesses that prevented me from working, prevented me from even standing up like I'm standing here before you now. Took me to the Mayo Clinic for 2 weeks, Johns Hopkins. I was denied any pay by Liberty Mutual for 6 months. I got nothing for 6 months. That is a corrupt company that we need to break off from. I was promised 2 years ago that real changes were coming, and I found out a few days ago they had to refund money to Fairfax County for their bad treatment. I didn't get any of that money back. $25,000 that my parents had to give me so I wasn't out on the street. Why do we allow them to tell teachers that we can't use our sick leave? You don't trust your own teachers. Alexandria trusts their teachers. Arlington trusts their teachers. You let a for-profit company make the decisions. Why? Why do you do it? No other county I know does that. They are a bunch of liars. They intimidate your doctors. They overrule your doctors. Get rid of them. You got to get rid of them and be like the other counties.
Thank you. Chris McCullough.
Evening. My name is Chris McAuliffe. I'm a father of 3 boys, either graduates from or students in the Fairfax County Public Schools. And I'm currently working as a reading specialist at Washington Mill Elementary School. I began my teaching career almost 30 years ago now. I taught special ed, and then I left the public schools to become a full-time professor of education at a university. Then became a cognitive scientist. Then a few years ago, I returned to the public schools. And even though I'm now working as a reading specialist, I want you to think tonight about 2 numbers. I want you to think about the number 62, and I want you to think about the number 3. Why 62? Well, if you're driving down any of the roads in Fairfax County and you see a great big sign up there that says 55, what's the speed limit? We all know it's 62. I have two cousins who are troopers. I have good information. We all know it's 62. It doesn't matter what politicians put up or express. It doesn't matter. What matters is what they do. And they start enforcing the speed limit at 62. The words don't matter. Remember 62. The other number, 3. A few years ago at our elementary school, we had 3 extraordinary teachers. Teachers, you would move heaven and earth to have your children in their classroom. You'd do everything in your power to get your son or daughter being taught by them. They were graduates of the University of Virginia and extraordinary people, real school leaders and extraordinary teachers. And now they're all gone. I don't know where one of them is. One is working in a different school district, and one is working for Amazon. Because of 62. They heard what you said, but then they watched what you did. They're all gone. So with that in mind, I urge you to do the right thing on this budget with respect to compensating the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe no one else has signed up. Is there anyone else here who would like to sign up? We do have a few more slots because of people who didn't appear. But with that, I want to thank everyone who came out today. Excellent testimony. And with that, this hearing is adjourned.